Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham. It's 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. That means, of course, it's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. And, well, what can I say? We've got a hard act to follow if we're going to come anywhere close to last week. We had Thoughts on Sports and the Undertaker, who joined us again tonight. Both of them absolutely on fire. And I can tell you just generally, the bookmakers bled last week. And we're not the most sympathetic bunch. We're looking to put the knife in the back while they're down. Let me introduce you to the panel. I'm going to start off at the bottom of the screen. I thought maybe he'd be wearing his Western Province top and we'd be matching, but it seems he's got himself a quick silver sponsorship there. Hendrik Swart, the Undertaker. Good to have you back on the show, Hendrik. Are you anything as confident as you were last week, or are you going to tread a bit cautiously?
How's it, Brent? No, I'm not as confident as last week. Last week there was lots of value, lots of bets that stood out, games that stood out. This week there are one or two, but not nearly as many as last week. And I've had two very good weekends now in a row, and from experience, I know then you have to start lying low, because the bad weekend is just around the corner. You don't want to be too confident. So yeah, I'm going to be very cautious with my betting this weekend. There is one or two bets that stands out, but not nearly as many as the previous week.
Yeah, the old saying, what goes up must come down, unfortunately. Welcome to the boys in the live chat. We've got quite a few of them on there already. And then a lot of you will recognize this face. He hasn't been on for quite some time. It's Alex from UK Rugby Bets. These days on Twitter, and I'll bring up the banner here, and he can tell us a little bit about it. He's very much focusing a lot of USA Rugby as well. So he's got a USA Rugby podcast, and you can find the link to that on MLR_betting_pod. So Alex, first of all, welcome back. Great to have you on the show. And then how things going with your USA Rugby, and when the hell do you sleep, man?
I've become nocturnal, Brent. I really should be asleep right now, to be honest with you. But yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, good. Nice to be back on. Yeah, I'm kind of splitting my time now between focusing on the MLR side and still kind of dabbling in Super Rugby and the Premiership and a bit of URC here and there. But yeah, there's a lot of games on. But the MLR stuff is going well. There's a lot of value in that league. If you know the players, it's a big mix between South Africans. There's some Namibians. You got some Kiwis that have gone over towards the end of their career, and then you've got a lot of the college guys coming out from college. So it's a real big mix, but there's a lot of value to be had. So yeah, I kind of started a bit of podcast that's going all right so far, but yeah, if anyone wants to listen, follow the Twitter link that Brent's kindly put up. Yeah, we'll be recording later on.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get cracking into a few other matches now as well. Just one question for you. Do they actually televise it there in the UK, or do you stream it?
Thankfully, that's not really an issue. There's an app called the Rugby Network that you can stream globally for free. Okay. So easy access for games. But yeah, the times aren't great for the UK. But yeah, interesting league.
Well, we got a quick question for you there. Most of the guys welcoming you back. Nathan says, Alex, why did Toronto game go off the boards? Is that the one you tipped early on Twitter? I see you were. I don't follow the major league, but I did see you came out with a bet which moved pretty quickly. Is that the one?
No, that was another one. That was San Diego minus 10.5 versus Dallas. That moved from 10 to 15 quite quickly. I don't know why it's taken off the board. It's still on my bookie. I think the cap's around 15.5. It's still a play on Seattle minus if anyone wants a tip. But hopefully it holds before I get a chance to take it.
Excellent. Well, just before we get into the show, just welcome to Reverend there. He's driving to work in New Zealand. We really do have a global audience here. We're going to start off then, Reverend, you'll be pleased to know, with Super Rugby. And I've got so many games here, I have to really scan up to get there. We'll go to the Super Rugby Pacific. I have told both my guests, if they don't like anything firm, not a problem, they can pass on it, because there are just so many games to talk about. But Alex, I'm going to start with you. We got the Chiefs at home to the Fijian Drua, and I've got a handicap here of 23.5. I found it quite frustrating on this game. I haven't been able to find points lines. I had a quick look before the show. I must be honest, it wasn't a comprehensive look, so I haven't really seen much. But what do you make of this game? The Chiefs, hard to oppose at home, but it's quite a big cap.
It is a big cap. I have got a points line that I've seen. It's 64.5. I don't know if I haven't really got the same with that. So yeah, a big points line. I was quite big on the Chiefs last week, and I think a number of the punters were as well on that kind of choice game almost. But this is a slightly different game for them this week. They've got a few changes, a couple of rotations, but a couple outs. Kane, Jacobson are out, but generally it's a pretty good side. Webber's not playing as well, and Gatland's at 10. So a few changes. You still got the absolute machine shooter Stevenson on the wing this week, and Damien McKenzie's gone back to fullback, which I think is still very solid. You've got McKenzie running in space, and then Stevenson is just incredible. What a season that guy's had. The Drua had changes. There's a number of changes. It's not as strong a Drua side, and I almost feel like they're kind of waving the white flag. They're at home in Lautoka next week against the Blues, I think. So I wonder it's for them. That's such a fortress now at home in Fiji. You do wonder whether they've kind of waved the white flag a little bit here. They obviously put up a great fight last week against the Brumbies. At one point, I thought they could go on. And in the end, the Brumbies just kind of last 15 minutes went back to their maul, went back to the stuff that kind of grinds out that win. And in the end, it was a slightly flattering scoreline in the end. But they played well with Drua. They offload so well. They find space. They move the ball. But they are missing kind of one of their leading try scorer, Massey. Vovo's not playing in the middle. So there's a couple outs. So I just think they're just not going to be in the right headspace. Unless I think they're building up till next week. So it's going to blown out a bit. I think it was 21.5 earlier on. It's now 23.5. I'm going to have a play on a minus. I just think this Chiefs team is very solid, and they're looking to continue their unbeaten streak. And I think it will be less of a threat with the Drua this week with a few changes. So I'm going to take a bit of a play on the minus, and I've taken a bit of a punt on a first scorer, which is Cortez Ratimer 20-1 for a small.
That's a scrummy, the scrummy for the Chiefs.
He's a good running nine.
He's a good running
nine. He's a threat around the breakdown, and he runs good support lines. Or I'd say potentially even better than Webber. So yeah, I've taken a bit of him for a first try scorer at a big price.
Yeah, actually, last week I tweeted when the two substitutes were made, and I was also on the Chiefs last week. I said when he came on, and if anything, it strengthened the Chiefs. I thought. Whereas when Henrik's guy Roygard went off, the substitute, I think it's Booth, I wasn't that impressed with. But Henrik, I don't know about you, but I started this game a little bit tentative. But actually, and Alex says he's tentative, but he made such a strong case there as he was going along. I'm quite liking this Chiefs minus now. What are your views?
Yeah, Brent, I agree. Fully agree. And in my opinion, the difference between 21 and 23 in this kind of game is not that much. I think you can smash that minus 23.5. You can actually take a higher handicap on this one. Like you said, the Drua, they've made quite a few changes looking at their team now to my right. And it is like they are targeting the next game. They were impressive last week against the Brumbies, and it cost me quite a lot there. I think the Brumbies played stupid rugby against them. They like it loose. In the Brumbies, they play a more structured game. They're very good when they play to their structure. But yeah, the Chiefs, they made a few changes, but I think this is still a very good Chiefs team. And I actually like Brent Graham at 10. I know there's a few guys that are not going to agree with me. I'm pretty sure Reverend is not going to agree with me because I saw one of his tweets. But I like Damien McKenzie being away from 10. In my opinion, he had a really poor first half. And I like Brent Graham being at 10. He's a solid 10. McKenzie might have a bit of more space at 15 now. Might get a few kicks coming his way, and he's got strong wingers next to him. So I think he'll be much more of a danger. I like the Chiefs here. The points line, 64.5. I'm not sure about the total points. The Drua points, I would love to go unders because the Chiefs have been very good on defense. But it's just such a dangerous bet against the Drua. You never know. They can easily get a few tries quickly. Even though this is a stringer team, I think the safe bet here is just to take the minus. I think that minus.
I agree with you there. I think the weather's not great in Hamilton, though.
There's a bit of a chance of rain during the game. I saw that now. Yeah, there's a bit of a chance. We'll have to have a look at the weather, and that will play into the Chiefs' hands as well. So that's another plus for the minus. And obviously, the Chiefs would like a bonus point win from this.
Right, 100%. Well, we're talking about the Chiefs smashing the Drua. If you're enjoying the show, smash the like button. It does help the show a lot. I must say, I didn't realize people always said that, but it does actually help the rankings of the channel quite a bit. So please do give us a smash on the like there if you can. Let's carry on, though. We're going to stick with Henrik on Super Rugby, and I'll do my massive scroll up again. Here we got the Rebels plus 16.5 against the Crusaders. Henrik, I don't know if you've seen a points line. The bookies I checked just beforehand didn't have it up. But this handicap has come in slightly from 18.5, I think, on the Crusaders team news. I'm leaning to the Rebels here up front, I'll tell you that. But I'm actually looking for a line on Rebels points. I want to go overs here. Have you got anything for me there and any views on this one?
Yeah, Brent, the Rebels points, 21.5. If you got going overs, you're only getting 8 to 10. So okay. The bookmakers are also leaning to the overs, and you can actually get 24.5 at about almost 13 to 10. Crusaders point 38.5 and total points about 61, 62 thereabouts. I'm also on the plus here, Brent. I've taken some plus 18.5 earlier in the week. I think, it was 18.5. It's now down to 16. I'm still very happy to take that plus 16.5. The Crusaders, they still have Moanga at 10, and that's obviously a bit of a concern for me taking the plus. But the Rebels, I'm just glad that they've got their two hookers back. I thought after that last game against the Blues, where they had that lot of injuries, they're not going to have they're going to have to pull a young guy to get started hooker here. But somehow both of them have recovered. And they've got Trevor Asaya back as well, and he's a plus as well. This Rebels team look good on paper. They've been playing very good. Kevin Foote, South African coach, the Ikes UCT ex-coach, he's doing very good with them. At home, I think the plus is definitely the way to go, and I think they might give the Crusaders a scare here. The Crusaders, not the Crusaders of old.
Agree with you there. I also agree with Farid. Yeah, the Rebels is a bit of a risk bet, which is why I'm really leaning on points, because I haven't been that impressed with the Crusaders' defense this season. Conditions look good in Melbourne from what I've seen. Alex, what have you got for us in this game?
Yeah, I got a similar trail of thought as well, and this is still not 100% strength. Say the side, there's still a few changes, significant one in their back line, and he's just been their machine going forward. Is Leicester Fainga'anuku, and for me here, it's no Leicester, no party. Like this is without him, he just lacks go forward in that Crusaders back line. He's such a key focus on off line out. He gets some yards every single time, and they play off him. And without that go forward, I think this kind of plucky Rebels side will be really up for it. Like they've been good at times this season, but if you look at the log, I think they will be quite disappointed with how they think their performances have gone and where they actually are. They only had 2 wins, and I feel like they should be maybe on kind of 3-ish, 3 before now. So I think they'll be really up for this. I didn't get 18.5. I took plus 17.5. So at plus 16.5, I'm still leaning plus Rebels. In the UK, I can get 23.5 of Rebels overs. So if I get 20.5, 21, I'd be quite keen on
23.5 starting to get a little bit high, eh?
Yeah. I actually saw, I couldn't take it with this bookie, but Betway had a line yesterday of Rebels over 1.5 tries at over evens. And it's now 3. Yeah, it was the most insane line. I was convinced it was a mistake, and I couldn't take it, unfortunately, but it was a ridiculous price. And I think there was a few other South African bookies that had it as well. From what I heard, it was a ridiculous price. So if anyone got that, well done. It's a gift. So yeah, for me, it's a plus here. So yeah, 17.5, 16.5 is still the way to go for me.
Right, well, a couple of guys joining late. Steph, you are excused. I got your written apology there. Evening, Jen. Sorry I'm late. And then Bitsy, welcome. Watching the show live for the first time. Always good to have you. And we've got a really strong live audience here tonight. Crusaders by 21 to 3 points, says Farid. Let's move on to the next game, Alex. I'm going to stick with you. It's the Blues against the Waratahs. This game, I think, opened around minus 16.5. The line is blown out. Waratahs haven't picked the strongest side. And Alex, I must tell you, I'm kind of a little bit like Henrik on this game, what he said earlier about the difference between 21 and 23. I think if you like the Waratahs minus 17, minus 18, you're probably going to like them at minus 21.5 as well.
Yeah. So I think I put this on Twitter earlier on. This was one of my favourite lines. Was I got minus 17.5 earlier, but I think this is still kind of leaning towards the minus. It's not a huge difference. This Blues team had a bye last week. He pumped the Rebels the week before that. The Tars did beat the Force last week, but obviously it wasn't a great Force side. I think neither of these teams will be happy with where they are on the log as well. And we're past halfway now. There's not a lot of games left. And the Blues especially need to be moving up that table. They have to, from their high standards they sit, they will want a top 4 finish, if not kind of third, second. And they really need to start moving now. So they need a bonus point win here. And I think I put on Twitter, they picked a team to deliver that. It's a really strong side. There's All Blacks all over the shop. I go back and forth on Harry Plummer at 12 all the time. I'm not really a massive fan of him, but I can get over him when there's such talent out wide, and Mark Talia and Rico and Stephen Petto at fullback. It's a strong pack as well, and you've still got the bench is still ridiculous. You've got Akira Ioane, Bryce Heames, Zon Sullivan, who I'm a massive fan of. So it's a super strong Blues team. They should be wiping the floor with this Waratahs team, who have injuries, suspensions. There's this Wallabies protocol of resting players too. So the number of the Wallaby squad that are having a bit of a rest. So there's changes. I'm not a massive fan of Joe Walton at 12. Harry Wilson's still a youngster at fullback. It's not a great front row. They're going to be in trouble. And then you've got on the bench, they've flown in a prop from Leicester, Nefi, I can't pronounce his name, Lavataga. He's the Leicester reserve. He's only played 4 games off the bench for Leicester this year, so he's not really played much. He's not played since January. Gets a nice welcome straight down to Auckland for a game at Eden Park. So good luck to Nefi this weekend. So yeah, it's just too much of a gap between a super strong, pumped up Blues team with a rest and a Tars team that are a bit short of their first team players, and I think they'll be looking to try and get this one off and then back home next week for a big game against the Highlanders. So for me, this is still Blues minus.
Yeah, I must say, very much in agreement with you. I can tell you most of the guys in the live chat are as well. I know Wager Warlock coming in here said over 39.5. Now, Henrik, I know you picked up, I think, over 38.5 points a day or so ago. I saw a tweet on Twitter then. I must say, 100% aligned. I can't really add anything to what Alex said because I agree with everything he said.
No, Brent, that was actually this morning. About 38.5, moved out 1 point, but again, this type of game, I'd be surprised if you're gonna if it's gonna come down to that 1 point on the Blues overs. But I agree with Alex that the minus is the better bet here. Even though I like the overs as well, I think the Blues have to target the bonus point here. Just like the Chiefs will have to against the Drua. So yeah, I got on to minus 18.5 at current line, but what's it, minus 21.5 now? I'd still take that as well. This is much changed where it was team, like Alex said. And notable guys that's out, the inside center. And then also the big one, I know you will agree with me on this one, Brent, Michael Hooper. He's so important to him. His work rate is massive. So whenever he's not playing, I'm not backing that team that he normally plays for. So yeah, I think the Blues is the way to go here on the minus. At home, I think they will easily beat this one. And yeah, this is in the Super Rugby, this is my strongest fancy.
Right, nice strong words there from both panelists and also the guys in the live chat. Henrik, I'm going to stay with you. The final Super Rugby game, there's been a bit of money here for the Force, opened up plus 9.5. I actually priced this around about plus 5.5 or 6.5. So in that sense, it's moving towards my line. I think Highlanders quite a lot of injury problems. What are you going to do on this one? I'll say up front, this is probably the Super Rugby game I like the least this weekend.
I agree with that, Brent. I'm also not strong in this one. Falafa Katawa is injured, or he's ill. He's ill actually. He's not injured, so he couldn't travel. Aaron Smith, his father passed away, so he's not traveling because of that. So they've brought in 2 young scrum offs. Apart from that, still a decent Highlanders team. The Force, they were not very good against the Waratahs last weekend, but generally they've been quite decent so far this year. So I think the plus is the way to go here for the Force at home. But yeah, nothing strong on this one. I don't think there's points out yet. Not that I've seen. Let me quickly just check again here. There is points out. Sorry. Total points about 59, 60 and a half thereabouts. Western Force 24 and a half. Highlanders 33 and a half. If anything, maybe overs on Western Force points. The Highlanders, they haven't been great on defence. So yeah, I think the Force can score 3 tries and maybe get an odd penalty or so. But yeah, not very strong on this one, Brent.
Right, we've got Johan coming in saying Highlanders 1-12. It's a bet I play every now and again when I'm not too strong. And Force Highlanders bet this 9 van der Merwe saying we'll start strong, but Highlanders to win the game. Right, Alex, what have you got for us in the final Super Rugby game?
Yeah, I mean, we've said the same thing throughout in terms of echoing each other, but yeah, I completely agree in terms of the other ones being a stronger fantasy. It's just one of those games you just feel like, do I really need to touch this? Do I really need to bet on this? I think now getting into 7.5, it's probably capped in the right place for me. And the other games I like more. There's nothing really jumping out at me. I'm just trying to look at the price of it just because I think it'll be worth, okay, it's not as wrong as I thought. I think the only thing I will do is a bit of a value play is I'll take a half-time, full-time. I do think that the Landers come on to win this in the second half because they have got a few back off the bench. Freddie Burns is back. And obviously, it's Josh Team is on the bench this week. I think in the end, the Highlanders get this job done. But I think it could be quite a close first half. So I'm willing to take the half-time, full-time, Force at half-time, the Highlanders to win. I'm getting 6.0, but I reckon if you shopped around, you probably get closer to 7. But yeah, 5 or 6 to 1, something like that. But half-time, full-time.
9 van der Merwe, that's the bet I misread that a little bit earlier. That's the bet he's going for as well, that Force Highlanders there. Welcome to Darren Holiday joining us. He's, of course, a guest on the show. So well done, Darren, on your 2 Oceans half marathon that you did. I was tracking you on Twitter the other day. Right, that's the end of Super Rugby. So let's go on to the URC, gents. And we'll start off with you, Alex. Stormers minus 17.5 against Benetton. I think this handicap's actually ballooned a lot further since I actually typed this out. If I'm not mistaken,
I have a very different
25.5. What do you have?
I've got 27.5.
Yeah, let me change that. I don't know what. I think I either typed, maybe it was meant to be 27.5. I'll change that one because that, of course, ballooned out because Benetton, nothing to play for here. And they've made a lot of changes. I think 11 changes to the side. And it's absolutely ballooned. What are your thoughts now at current lines?
Yeah, they've changed a lot, and they were very good at times last week. They've really impressed. They scored a number of really impressive tries. When they get moving, they do have a really strong side, especially that first team. And to be fair, when you look at the side now, they have a lot. They do have a stronger squad than they did last year. They have definitely improved that kind of wider squad. So now when you look at that team, you think, well, there's still some depth there. Previously, teams of old, when you have a full change, the second string are just really poor. But you've still got some reasonable players, especially in the backs. A few forwards are not particularly strong. You still got Thomas Gallo at prop, but you've still got Minozzi at fullback, who is a good, solid fullback. It's a difficult one. Obviously, Stormers are coming off 3 consecutive defeats now. And you do have to think that coming back at home after losing to Exeter in that Champions Cup and then obviously narrowly losing last week to Munster, they're going to be mad up for this. So I do understand why the cap's gone out, but it's just getting very big at 27.5. I think it's probably too big for me personally take. I think this game is being played somewhere else. I'm sure you guys know.
Craven Stadium in Stellenbosch, yeah.
So from what I hear on Twitter and from what people have told me, that it's a faster track than Cape Town Stadium, which obviously does play into the Stormers' hands. But it's probably too big for me to take. Now I do think the Stormers will win this, but I just don't think they'll win by that big a margin. I'm actually going to have a really small play on the plus. It's not a big call. I just think it's a big cap. And with the playoffs coming up, it's a good Stormers side, but this Benetton side can score a few tries when they want to. It's a small play, but I'm just leaning slightly towards the plus. It's a big number.
Henrik, it is a big number. I'm not really going to argue with Alex there, but I think the Stormers could potentially run away with this game with a massive victory. I like the fact that it's at the Darnie Craven. I'd probably like to see some points lines in that, because normally when the cap gets to this sort of level, I do prefer to focus on points. But even I'm still leaning to Stormers here. I think they're going to absolutely put this Benetton side to bed. What do you think?
I don't agree with you, Brent.
No, man.
You're really hoping there, Brent.
Surely Hendrik's going to come in here.
I'm with Alex on this one. I'm a fan of Benetton, Brent. I know they've made 11 changes here. They're a well-coached team. There's still some good players starting there. They've even got some solid players on the bench, Gabisi, Jacob Umanga. I just feel this is too big, especially with the game. I know the guys moaning about the Cape Town pitch negating the Stormers' strengths and stuff, but there's been quite a bit of rain in Stellenbosch today. I'm not sure how good the Darnie Cravens stadium is with the drainage and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, Brent. I think the Stormers' confidence might be a bit down at the moment, and still with Dion Fourie not playing, I can't take the Stormers. So this handicap is too big, in my opinion, and I think Benetton might stay in the cap. No chance I'm taking the minus here. Sorry, I'm not going to agree with you on that one, Brent. The points is out for this one, and the points is massive. Total points is 66.5, 67.5. So it's a big line. Stormers points 46.5, which is also very big. I think the Stormers get the job done and they take the foot off the pedal here. Benetton points, let me check. I saw the
19.5. I think Peter Paul said 19.5. No one if I'm ever agreeing with me on this one, so at least I've got some support there. And don't worry, many people have called me Brett accidentally, and I always get called Graham a lot, by the way, because my surname's Graham. But fair enough. I'll accept your point of view that the minus, look, as I said, I'm more of a point, but although 46 is obviously high as well.
46 is very high.
Stormers are absolutely going to put them away. But let's see. Stephen Marks coming in here. And Farid saying the cap's a bit big. So, yeah, certainly a lot more division. If the other game, if the Blues game, we were all united and going in the same direction, this is certainly one that's got us a little bit divided.
Brent, sorry, if this was Zebra, I would have changed my tune. But Benetton is a quality side, and even though they've made 11 changes, they are still a very well-coached team. They are good in the set pieces. So, yeah, I just think they'll stay in the game for long periods of time. So I just feel this is too big.
Right, I'm taking on the panelists at the moment there, guys. Right, let's stick with Undertaker. Ulster minus 11.5, the Edinburgh. And we've got a points line on this one, 54.5.
Now, Edinburgh with nothing to play. Ulster obviously has a lot to play for. They would want to keep that second spot. And Stormers obviously going to overtake them because the Stormers will win the game against Benetton. So Ulster, they need to win to overtake the Stormers again. And Ulster, they are 1 point ahead of the Stormers, and the points difference, it's a bit big. So the Stormers obviously they have that carrot to go for the points difference of just under 40. So if they can put Benetton away, which I don't think they will, they can. Then Ulster might have to get 5 points out of the game against Edinburgh. But Edinburgh's team on paper looks quite
Henrik,
good.
I will tell you one thing, which is, in fact, I looked at this one myself. It actually isn't based on points difference.
Is it not points difference?
No, it's not. I actually, it's based on number of wins. So I think Munster are safe. In other words, if Munster get 4 and the Stormers get 5, it doesn't matter what Stormers do on the points difference. I think Munster had the extra win.
Ulster just have to win. Then
sorry, Ulster. I keep mixing Munster up.
No. You are correct. So Ulster just have to win the game then. And 11.5. I think Edinburgh might stay in this. No, I'm not sure. This is a tough one. Ulster probably more to play for. This is one of the.
I think in these games, Hendrik, for me, when it comes down to motivation, I lean towards the side. Obviously, the handicap. Obviously, the bookies have taken that into account, but I still think a team like Ulster could end up blowing Edinburgh away in this game. The other alternative is Edinburgh hang in there and it comes close to the handicap, but it's very difficult to see Edinburgh winning this game. Most of the guys seem to be going for the minus. Kamal, you also mentioned side bets. Listen, Hendrik and I only take side bets against the Oracle. We like to make a living off it. We don't take side bets against each other. And I'm certainly not that strong on the Western Province.
If that is this thing and Edinburgh doesn't have anything to play for, then the Edinburgh 20.5 points actually looks a bit big as well. So you might have to consider if you like the minus. I think the unders on Edinburgh under 21.5 is a bit of a play as well.
Yeah, Cathal just coming in and confirming points difference. Not relevant there. Yeah, I discovered that because I was also looking at angles and I saw something that had me look on that. Well, anyway, that's now the Edinburgh Ulster game. So, Alex, do you like the minus on this one?
It's a difficult one. It's just you look at that Edinburgh lineup and you see Scottish internationals throughout. It's just one of those teams, and it's been the same for a lot of the season. Edinburgh just looked very good on paper and just really haven't delivered. Like they'll be really frustrated they aren't in the mix come the end of the season. They're so far down. So it's a difficult one. I think I'm right in saying that it's Mike Blair's last game. I think he's heading off the end of the season. So you just wonder how much motivation they'll have, and I think they'll be pretty up for an upset here. And when you have a team that's not got an awful lot to play for other than pride, it sometimes can go horrifically wrong, and sometimes can play in your favour when they're playing for something like a coach leaving or a player leaving. I'm pretty right. I think I might be completely wrong, but I believe Stuart McNally, the Edinburgh reserve hooker, is retiring at the end of the season off his game. Someone told me he's going to be a pilot. Not sure if that's true or false. Might be starting rumours, but I'll have a play on him to score the last try. It's his last game, so you'll get a decent price on McNally to score the last try. I'm not going to have a big play in this game. I think I might have a. I actually was hearing that 20.5 and thought that's a little bit low for a team that's probably quite up for it and had nothing really to play for other than pride. I can see this Edinburgh side scoring a couple of tries, and Kinghorn boot-wise isn't great, but you've got Buffelli, so he'll take his points when they're on offer. So I'm actually in the other camp, and I think if it's 20.5, I'll probably have a little play on Edinburgh overs, but not a big play, just a little interest on a Friday night.
Right, yeah, interesting that one. I must say, I find myself leaning towards Ulster there, just really based on the motivation. Now we get to another very interesting game, Alex, and I'll start with you. The handicap, I did see Lions minus 25.5 early in the week. It has come in a bit. I'm not sure, Alex, if there's any team news out, but I'll tell you what my theory on this game was at the start of the week, is that I think with the Lions, obviously Zebra have nothing to play for other than perhaps their first win of the season, you'd argue, but the Lions are obviously out as well. And I think the Lions, I'm expecting them to rest URC players, not rest them, to play them in the Currie Cup and potentially feel the weaker side. And I'm actually leaning, I'll tell you guys, I don't normally go first, but I'm leaning towards Zebra a little bit on the plus, although probably not with too much confidence just because they're Zebra. What are your feelings on this?
I think, yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, the dynamic obviously isn't something that you get for the European team and having this Currie Cup URC. So it's a really interesting dynamic of where they're going to go. Currie Cup URC, where's the priority that week? So I think you've got to be careful to take this before the teams are out. I think this is, from what I saw, this is at Loftus, isn't it? And there's
It
three
is.
games.
The first leg of a
games.
double header, yeah.
So it's an afternoon game. It's an afternoon game, 1 p.m. It should be a good atmosphere down there. I don't know whether, I'm not sure there's a points line out for this yet, but I think you'll wait and see for teams. But this is a complete dead rubber game, and I don't think I'll be having too much of a stake on it. I think I'd maybe look at if the Lions play a good side, I'll play on Lions overs, because they did play some good stuff at times last week. Obviously, they should have won. Everyone would be really frustrated, but they can play wide and cause defenses upset. So I might have a play on Lions overs if it's a good side, but I can't play this until with that risk of the Currie Cup team playing instead. So no play for now, but I'll have a look at Lions overs.
Yeah, I see the boys liking overs points. Yeah, this was in the newsletter best bet last week. Total tries over 7.5 in that game. I was also at over 8.5 in the Bulls game. So that was where I did the damage, I must say, to the bookmakers last week. And the tries certainly did flow in both games. I'm expecting the bookmakers, of course, to adjust. I reckon we'll get a tries line probably closer to 10.5 tries or something like that. Yeah. So interesting to see. I agree, Farid. I think Lions' first team beat this CAC. But my theory is, and I guess I've got to decide if I get involved now or not, but my theory is that they are going to take some players to the Currie Cup. So, Henrik, let me ask you your opinion on this game. But also, I want to, a lot of guys in the live chat mentioning, and Alex has also mentioned, things like a guy's 100th test, farewells. My experience is, and I take this all the way back to the days of Henry Honeyball and Andre Joubert, I think it was their final game for the Sharks or something like that. And I was piling on sentimental. The team are going to put everything on the line. I often find that works quite the opposite, where the teams they almost not on purpose, but they just don't seem to deliver on those big occasions. What are your views?
Yeah, Brent, I agree 100%. I've tweeted about that quite a few times this year as well, about the 100 game curse. It's almost like it's too much of a sideshow, and they make too much of a hoo-ha within the team about it, so the guys don't focus on what they have to do. I don't like that either. That's always a concern for me when that happens, and that might actually be a wee bit of a concern in the Blues game in the Super Rugby as well, because I know it's Harry Plummer's 50th game, and I think it's Bowden Barrett's 150th something game, first class game of
probably Super Rugby across the board, yeah.
Or there's something else, or more. There's some kind of thing for Bowden Barrett as well. So that's always a concern, and like you say in those games. But yeah, so I'm also always concerned when that happens. This game, Brent, yeah, I think you're onto the right line of thinking about the URC and the Currie Cup for the Lions. They might shift a bit to the Currie Cup now. Either way, let's get back to last week as well. Yeah, well done for you for covering your initial stake on the Lions. You did well there.
Yes,
I didn't.
I checked it out when I saw the team.
Yeah, so it was a heartbreak for me, but luckily I was on overs on Lions points as well, so I got a bit back on that. But there's the 150th Super Rugby for Barrett, yeah, so that is a concern. But yeah, the Lions were really disappointing in not finishing that game against a very young against the team. I like Zebra here, Brent. Even if the Lions picked their best team here, and I know the Zebra got smashed last week, I expect Zebra to bounce back a bit here, and I'll be on overs on Zebra points here. I hope I can get a lowish line on Zebra, but I like Zebra's points here. But whatever it will be, I'll be on overs on Zebra points. Maybe overs on total points as well, but Zebra points will be my focus on this game.
Definitely, I'm rubber stamping you on that. In fact, I haven't really given the game a lot of thought. I was just thinking of the team selections, but I think Zebra points either way. I'll be going on the overs there as well. We'll stay with you then, Henrik. This game, we've got a handicap here at World Sports Betting. None of the other bookies have priced up. I know that Bulls opened something like 11 to 10. I think I saw Bookie Basher on the Good for the Game forum saying it quickly came into the current price and the current handicap of -8.5. I mean, Henrik, I don't know about you, but I don't want to say too much on this game at this stage.
Yeah, Brent. I can tell
Feel
you.
free to keep your cards close to your chest on this one.
Yeah, well, we all know, softly know what everyone's going to do on that. I'm not going to comment on the current line, but I want to actually meet the guy at WSB that priced the Bulls up as underdogs here. They were plus 3.5, I think, yesterday. I saw.
Yes.
I saw. And honestly, if it's your job to price up rugby games and you price the Bulls up as underdogs for this game, you honestly don't belong to be there. And I hope somebody sends him this clip that I'm telling this. I hope he sees this because he doesn't deserve to be a rugby trader. He doesn't deserve
I would
to
argue,
be
I hope they keep him on.
There's absolutely no chance that the Bulls this should be close to a choice game. So yeah, that's terrible that they could have priced the Bulls up as underdogs for this one. The minus is obviously where to go here, but we'll have to see what we get tomorrow, probably when the teams come out. So that's all I'm going to say.
Mark, I know you were hoping to be at this game and things didn't really work out. I was going to go through with you. I have decided now not to go through to the game. My son's playing rugby. I could make it through for the Bulls game, but to go all the way to watch an academy side play, I've decided to rather go to a braai. But I will certainly be watching on TV. Right, Alex? Let's get your views on this one.
Yeah, I mean, if this comes out at 8.5, I'll also be taking the minus. Obviously, it's obviously everyone knows that it's a academy team from Leinster, and they obviously showed like the depth they have is quite insane. I think if you put any other academy side out in a first class game, it would be almost three figures. Like it does show the depth they have in their academy system, their schools all the way up. It's quite scary. So fair play to them. Huge, great win last week. The boys are obviously you think they're kind of fighting for nothing. They're just kind of on a bit of a tour, but the discipline they have in terms of the culture they breed it over in Leinster, it's just that winning mentality. And these kids are playing for a spot on the squad next year. They know that's their motivation. This is their chance to impress, and they will put it all out. But yeah, against a Bulls team that will be, I'd imagine, pretty fully loaded, you got to go on the minus here. It's going to be a men versus boys kind of battle up front, and the Bulls are just going to have too much power.
In this case, it's going to be literally men versus boys. Yeah.
There's only one way to go here, and if it's 8.5, it's a minus.
Yeah, let's see what it comes out with. I'll certainly, I think Henrik and I and Alex, we're all in agreement there. Points line, of course, will be interesting on this one as well. But Bulls still, at the end of the day, they're still in the playoffs. They in 7th place. They got something to play for. They could potentially move up if results go their way.
Yes, I guess the motivation for those sides, kind of 6, 7, 8, I think, is Connacht, Bulls, and Sharks. Is whoever doesn't finish. So if you finish 8, you play Leinster. That's
true. That's a big motivation not to finish 8th. That's very true. Guys, the next game I got, Alex, Dragon Scarlet. I couldn't find betting just before the game. I'm sure there must be some out somewhere. Have you seen anything? Nothing. So should we leave that game because that's not
dead rubber?
Yeah, it's probably not a game. And obviously the reason there is that the Scarlets are also involved in Challenge Cup action next week.
Yeah, it'll be a massive rotated Scarlets team.
Yeah, so you can forgive the bookies for wanting to see the teams before they bring that out. So, Alex, I'll go with you then on the next game. And is this handicap right? Ospreys plus a half point. In other words, a choice game. And we've got a 49.5 points line.
49.5? Okay.
Yes, that's what
I haven't looked at the weather yet, but if it's dry, I'll take overs there. Like, this is dead rubber, end of a season. I can imagine both these sides just having a bit of there was some games toward the end of last season, the Welsh derbies went pretty high on points. I remember a number of games thinking this is getting getting very loose. So yeah, end of a season, nothing to play for. I'll have a play on the overs, but obviously I'll wait to see the teams. If one side's loaded more than the other and one side's giving the kids a go, I'll lean towards a point on that side. But if there's two reasonable sides out, I'll take overs and walk the dog.
And Hendrik, I guess it is a dead rubber in a sense, but there is the Welsh Shield, as is pointed out. When I say up for grabs, if I'm not mistaken, I looked at it. I mean, it would take a lot for Ospreys to get the Shield. I think Cardiff are virtually there. What do you make of this one? That 49.5 does seem low if both teams are going to be having a go.
Yeah, it makes sense what Alex says about the points. I'm not sure how motivated the guys will be for the Welsh Shield. When you play in the competition, you play to make the playoffs.
But you can make if you win the Welsh Shield, you can make the European Cup.
That's a good point.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So there is a bit to play for then.
Yeah.
But still, the points, you'd be a brave man to take unders on this one. On the money line, the board, I'm not sure, Brent. Probably Cardiff. Sure, I'm not sure. This is obviously a game that I haven't done much research on, and I'm not any strong fancies on this one. So maybe just a play on the points here.
Just to mention, Mark saying a bonus point to win for the Ospreys to win. I think this also comes down, guys. Be careful on this one if you are looking at scenarios, because Stephen Mark saying Ospreys need 5 points. If they get 5 points, and Cardiff get no points, then the Ospreys will qualify because they're on 35 and Cardiff on 39. But if they get 5 points, or if they put it this way, if they get 4 points more and the teams finish level, it goes back to wins again. And I think Cardiff have had significantly more wins than Ospreys. So just be careful of that if you're structuring your bets, that it doesn't work on points difference and it actually works on number of wins.
So Cardiff might be a bit more desperate as well and might actually defend a bit.
Yeah, that's it. They could potentially, and perhaps that explains the point sign of 49.5. Anyway, we'll move on though, Hendrik. Let's stick with you. We'll go to the Sharks Munster game. Here we got a points line of 51.5 and handicap of Sharks minus 5.5. Now the Sharks currently in 8th place. As Alex said, there's an incentive to try and move up. Whether or not they can get above any of the other teams remains to be seen. And you've got a Munster side that is sitting 5th and is basically going to finish 5th. So they don't really have that much to play for, if I'm reading the table correctly.
Okay, yeah. And Pierre Killian, that's watching the show here and commenting, he and Southpaw, Alan Moscow, they commented on Twitter earlier in this one, and Alan posted on the Good for the Game forum as well. They like the Sharks here on this one, and I have to agree. You know how I feel about the Sharks. I'm not a fan of the Sharks. I don't like betting them. But yeah, they are the player. The Sharks, they're on 46 points. They're obviously probably not going to overtake the Bulls because the Bulls are going to be clear of them by the time they kick off. But they might probably overtake Connacht here, and Connacht only plays the next day against Glasgow. So there is a lot to play for the Sharks, and the Sharks have to try and get 5 points out of this because if they only get 4 and Connacht get 1 point out of their game, well, then they are level on wins, but then it comes down to points difference, and Connacht, they've got 26 points better points difference than the Sharks. So the Sharks have to target bonus point win here. Munster are very decent. I went to the Stormers Munster game last week. Munster were very impressive. They've brought over a very good squad, but yeah, I think it's job done for them for this tour. They can't catch Glasgow, because they've got 2 wins less than Glasgow, so they can't catch Glasgow above them. So they can't move on the table, like you said. So this is all to play for the Sharks on this one. So yeah, that minus 5.5 looks very low. I'm not sure about the points. There is points out, I think, for this one. I think
we got it there, 51.5. 51.5 is what I saw for the
Sharks points. Sharks points.
Sharks points 28.5.
Yeah, that's low. If the conditions are right in Durban, I haven't picked the weather. I'm not sure where it might be sweaty or stuff. Let's quickly check. Durban. So yeah, the minus is definitely the way to go. Yeah, I think the best bet on this game is the minus. The conditions look quite decent for Durban. 26.5 degrees, no rain, and 26 isn't that hot. So yeah, I think that over 28.5 is the way to go here as well. Because the Stormers played really badly, and they scored 24 points against Munster last week. So I think the over 28.5 is to play, but the minus 5.5 is very decent. And if you can get a decent price, like close to 7 to 10, 13 to 27 to 10 on Sharks half-time, full-time, I think you can chuck that into a multiple too as well.
Yeah, I see a lot of the boys got on that early in the week as well. Sharks often slow starters may look for an in-game handicap. I must say I tend to agree with Noah here. I like the minus. Probably, well, a little bit better than the points, perhaps, but I also agree with Henrik. I like the points on that one. Alex, what have you got? Anything different for us on this game? Or are you pretty much joining in on the Sharks camp?
I think I'm having my notes. I was leaning towards Sharks, but yeah, I think you guys have convinced me to move on that minus. I think there's just more motivation on that side. As you said, there's not really much Munster can do. They got to win on tour, kind of get back up north and get ready for the playoffs. Will be the Munster strategy. Hopefully, stay fit. So yeah, I think Sharks is the way to go here. I'll take a play on the minus, but yeah, not a huge play, but definitely a unit or two on the minus.
WJS coming with mid-show news. Josh Navidi retires immediately. And Farid is saying Stormers got consolation try. Lebok missed some easy kicks. I think that, Lebok was certainly a little bit off last week. Right, that brings us to the end of URC. I don't think there's any more games. What we're going to do now, Alex, we'll stick
There's
with
one
you.
more, one more, Brent.
There's one more game. But I'm not sure. Is there betting?
Maybe
I haven't seen anything for it. Yeah. It's Glasgow. Yeah.
Oh, Glasgow Connacht, yeah, okay, possibly waiting to see. So if anyone's seen any betting, they can give views on that. Otherwise, we'll skim through that. And Henrik, if you don't mind sitting tight for a bit, I'll run through the Premiership with Alex, unless you've got any firm views on the Premiership, which I know you don't follow that closely. But Alex, you of course do follow the Premiership, and we got the first game up, Falcons plus 9.5 against the Northampton Saints. And just to mention to the guys watching, what we'll do is, Alex, when you're done, we'll get your best bets and you can pop off, and then we'll do the Currie Cup with Henrik. Right, Falcons v Saints.
Perfect. So 2 rounds left in the Premiership, this one and one more. So we're really getting to the business end of the season. And Saints are on a big charge to get into the top 4, which guarantees a playoff spot. They're currently sitting in 4th, but only by 2 points. And they're being chased by London Irish, Quins. And yeah, they can't really catch them now. But generally, London Irish are their biggest threat. So Saints are super motivated. They have a really strong side out. All their internationals are playing. Laws is back. Ludlam's playing. Really good bench as well, and a very solid backline. So full strength, motivated. Falcons bottom of the table. Only motivation is to try and move up through the table and kind of get a last couple of wins, but nothing really to play for here. In the middle of a season, this cap would have been 3 plus 3.5, 4.5, because Falcons had a really good run and were very good at home. They do have their triple threat Argentinians in the back line, Carreras on the wing, and Orlando Moroni in the centres, and that does give them a little more stability. So they hung in the game last week against Quins until 65 minutes, and then Quins just scored 3 or 4 late tries and blew the score out. So yeah, it's a difficult one, because I'd have loved for it to be, if it was kind of 6.5, 7.5, I would have flown in on Saints minus. At kind of 9, 10, it gets a little bit more tricky. I haven't looked at the conditions. Newcastle tomorrow night, so I think I
saw WJS, was it, say that the weather looking dry now too, so it looks like we might get dry weather. And Darren Holiday coming in, Saints over 33.5.
Yeah, perfect. I was going to say what the points line would be, because I haven't seen it myself yet, but that's a good line. That's too low, because Saints will score 5 tries here at least. So I think that's a good way to go. I still think minus is a next best, but yeah, over 33.5 is the way to go here. I think with that back line and a good forward pack, they should have enough here against a not very motivated Falcons side. So yeah, I agree. I'll go on the overs for Saints here.
Right, next game, Alex, Harlequins minus 14.5 against Bath.
So the line's moving a little bit now because I think maybe starts at 13.5. So this is at Twickenham tomorrow. They do a couple of these games a year where Harlequins move across the road and play at Twickenham. They did the same with Exeter recently, and actually put in a very good performance and put a changed Exeter side away. 14.5 is starting to creep up, and I think I messaged Wills in the chat earlier this week. And this game, this is one of those games where Quins will either come back and win by 3, or win by 30. There's nothing in between. It's a narrow win or a blowout win. And last week, they really weren't great in that first half, and Newcastle really caused them a lot of problems. They've really not had a great season, Quinn, especially the back half. They've been fairly disappointing. They've missed their internationals and not done very well during that window, and they've kind of paid the price for not having probably as much depth as they would like. They had a lot of injuries, but they just haven't really kicked on. And Bath do actually have a bit of motivation, which is important here. They can creep up into 8th, and so the top 8, 5th to 8th, get Europe. So there is some motivation on Bath, and they beat a good Gloucester side last week. 14.5 as a Quins fan. It's when he gets above 2 converted tries, I have to take the plus here. I think Bath will be quite up for this. They'll name a full strength side. They've got a good squad, and the injuries are starting to dry up, which is good for Bath. They've been hammered throughout the season, but they're starting to get players back. So I'm going to take some Bath plus. I think they'll cover the cap.
Right, let me try and find these games now, because there's so many games. I see a little bit of split opinion there as far as the live chat goes, and I'm just trying to. Here we go. The next game is Gloucester, Alex, up against Sale Sharks, plus 6.5 Gloucester at home. I'm not sure if we've lost connection there. Maybe it's my connection.
Mine, that's definitely.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, Alex, carry on. I thought you were frozen there for a second.
Mine sounds a bit patchy, so sorry. I have been a bit patchy, so apologies if it goes off for a minute. But this line's gone out a bit. I think it was a bit closer to move out. Really on the set pull through. Their defense was just unreal, and on a wet night, there is nothing better, especially in the Premiership, better than the Sarries in terms of a defensive line. You just can't get past them. They were so good last week. On a synthetic surface at Gloucester, I don't think it's supposed to be too wet this weekend. It's a slightly different kettle of fish, because Gloucester will be pissed off from losing their rivals last week, and they do still have a chance of moving up through the table. Motivation for Sale really isn't too much. They want to nail down the second spot for a home semi-final, but they should get that. The win will cement it. But 6.5 is starting to tempt me into a Gloucester plus, because I think they'll score a few tries and be quite up for this, especially they lost last week. So it's a tentative play into IC teams, but leaning towards the plus.
Right, final game of the Gallagher Premiership. Saracens minus 7.5 against London Irish.
This is a really interesting one. And this is we do need to wait for team news here, because Saracens played a big. They rolled the squad last week. They turned out a lot of the second string guys, only a handful of the first teamers. So they put in a fair fight against Saints and scored 30 points in the end, but didn't have the depth to compete against Saints, and Saints won in the end. This is a London Irish side that has been probably the form side. I haven't looked at the form, but they will be one of the form sides in the league. They've been building really steadily. They were towards the bottom in the first half of the season, but second half, they don't have a load of internationals, so they didn't lose out too much during that Six Nations window, and they flew at that fixture list and won game after game, have climbed the table all the way up to 5th, and they're now 2 points off of the playoffs. So it's a really tough one. They'll be fresh and ready to go, but if you saw that capture earlier in the season, you'd be very big on a minus, because Sarries, when they are motivated and full strength, is at home. It's a very tough team to oppose. So because they rested last week, I'm presuming for the last 2 games they'll want to keep some keep some momentum into the playoffs, and they'll play a stronger side this week. But I still think they might keep a couple back. Irish have been so good, and they do score points that I'm leaning towards Irish here, but it's just whether I go overs or plus. Again, I haven't seen the weather. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be like. If it's dry, it moves me more towards Irish, because I think the point line is probably going to be 55, 56 and a half. And so you might get an Irish line at kind of 20, 22, 23 and a half, or something like that. Maybe slightly more than that, maybe 24 and a half. But they will score 3-4 tries easily, and Paddy Jackson kicks his goals. So I'm leaning towards London Irish, but it's just a question of whether it's points or overs. So judgment call on weather and teams, but yeah, leaning towards Irish.
Yeah, no, and he would say he's got overs, and Darren Holiday likes the series halftime, full time at 8-10. That brings us to the end of the Gallagher Premiership, which means, Alex, you don't really follow the Currie Cup. You're going to say cheers to us. So let's get your best bets for the weekend. And then just as you're about to give the best bets, I'll just give people a reminder that you do follow the US Rugby, Major League Rugby. And at that Twitter address, you can find Alex, and I think you do it with a partner, and certainly listen to the pod. Alex, what have you got for us as far as best bets go?
Best bets this weekend in Super Rugby, Blues.
Looks like the internet's gone. Hendrik, can you hear Alex there?
No, he's frozen up.
We'll give him a second.
I'm sure he said blues minus, but he obviously wanted to get into a few others as well.
Well, can you believe it? We got almost through the whole show before his internet. So lucky we got that. So Alex, I think we're going to carry on with the Currie Cup now. I'm going to take you out, and then you can tweet us your best bets. But I'm sure the guys got the gist of it. Right, Henrik, let's go on to the Currie Cup then. Just want to find it here. We've got, where did I put the Currie Cup? Right at the top. 4 games, of course, to look forward to. I'm quite enjoying the Currie Cup. I know you're also quite a fan of the Currie Cup over the years.
Yes.
And we've got Cheetahs in the first game, minus 21.5 against the Sharks. And while you're talking, I'll just drop Alex a quick WhatsApp.
Yeah, we've got points on this one as well. But now, Brent, I'm looking at the teams, and I like the team the Cheetahs have picked. Last week, when they came down to Cape Town and played Western Province on Saturday in the pre-game for the Stormers, they lost. Well, they won by 9 in the end against Western Province. I was on the Western Province plus 9.5, but they scored the last 7 points. So before they scored that 7 points, it was a 2-point game. So Western Province stayed in that game quite well. I think back in bloom. And with the changes the Cheetahs have made, and as well with the changes the Sharks have made, I like the minus here. I think the Cheetahs' first game this season was against the Griquas, and they made quite a statement in that one. I was on the minus there as well. And I think this is going to be the same type of game here. I think they're going to kill the Sharks up front, and they've got more quality outside as well. Tapiwa Mafura at 15, Daniel Kasende, Renu Manura Arsenberg, those kind of guys. Ruan Pino, Jandre Rudolph, who I'm not a fan of, but he's playing great rugby this season. So I like the Cheetahs a lot here. There is points out. I just want to quickly check up. Cheetahs point 39.5. It's an afternoon game tomorrow afternoon, 2:30 in Bloemfontein. I think the weather should be good. I haven't checked the weather. If the weather is good, the overs is the way to go. Yeah, I think because maybe even under some Sharks points, but the minus is the safe bet here, and then maybe a bit of over 13 or 9.5 cheetahs. Do you want to go back to Alex before we
Yeah,
carry
we'll
on?
come back to Alex while we've got some connection. Alex, let's get your best bet. We were just about to hear you, I think, to Blues on the minus, and then the picture froze.
Sorry, guys, internet issues. Yeah, my best bet on the Super Rugby is definitely the Blues minus. So yeah, if that was the line I was presented with, I'd still take the minus there. That'd be too good against us this weekend. And then in the URC, there's nothing that's kind of really flying out to me. Henrik and you guys convinced me on that on the Sharks. I'll take some of the minus, and I will take some of the plus on Benetton. Not a huge play, but I do like that. I think it's just too big of a number. And then in the Premiership, the Saints overs and tomorrow night, they should have too much and score a number of tries against the Falcons.
Right, Alex, thanks very much. If you saw the lights go off behind me, you'll know that load shedding has hit here in South Africa. I didn't even realize I was due now, to be totally honest. But fortunately, I do have UPSs and all of that sort of stuff. We all have to adapt here in South Africa. So, but quite refreshing sometimes, Henrik. I don't know if you agree. When you see someone in the UK struggling with the internet, you go, hey, man, it's not all bad here in South Africa.
Well, I thought in first world countries there won't be stuff like that. So yeah, that's quite surprising to see they're also struggling with the internet sometimes.
But Alex, thanks, man. It was great having you back on the show. And good luck with your pod, and we'll certainly stay in touch and hope to have you back on again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Enjoy Currie Cup. Cheers, guys.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. Thanks. That was Alex at UK Rugby Bets. Right, Henrik. Let's continue with the Currie Cup. Now we'll go on to the next game. Pumas minus 14.5 against Western Province.
Yeah, just quick. One thing I forgot about the previous game, Brent. Amy Barrett, Tron, she's the ref in Bloemfontein. So just remember that.
Careful of overs.
Yeah, she can drag the game out there. She with the jokes and laughing and stuff, whatever. Yeah.
She talks. You know what I think about Amy is she talks about, come on guys, let's speed it up. Let's speed it up. But she does sweet nothing to speed up play. It drives me absolutely insane. I think she handled the she handled the Pumas game on the weekend. It was Griffin Colby handled the Griquas Lions game. He absolutely, I had such a great weekend. I can't complain, but geez, I lost a lot on that final game because I was trying to really put myself over the top.
Yeah, me too, Brent. In the end, Amy came through. Well, I think the Pumas came through in that game, but I'm actually a fan of Griffin Colby as an overs ref. But I just think the Griquas, they were really poor in the first half, especially, and the Lions. No,
I don't know. Games. Yeah, I can't blame the ref for it. Actually, it was just a game, one of those games.
But this game, Brent, Western Province, they were good last week. They've now lost Kate Voliter. I rate him a bit. I like him at 10. He's a lot. Yeah, that's bad for him. And then the Pumas, they are playing great rugby. And at home, I'm just concerned that they are a biggish handicap, 14.5 against one of the big unions. That is sometimes a concern. But I think the Pumas have come a long way, and I think this handicap is at least 7 points too low. So even though Western Province have been decent so far this season, I like the Pumas and the minus here. And I think this game might have points as well. It's half past 4 kickoff in Ospreys. So there should be points in this one. But yeah, minus for me. And if you shop around, you can get 13.5. I've seen minus 13.5, which I'm looking at now at 9 to 10. So you can get minus 13.5, and I think that is the way to go here.
Right. If you heard a loud bang, that was me rubber stamping it. I like the Pumas minus 14.5 as well. I probably knocked a few things off my desk there. And in fact, I knocked my plug out. That was a bit of a silly thing to do. My computer is falling apart at the moment. Hopefully, I've got battery to see us through. Right, Reed reckons the handicap's too big on that one, but I'm with Henrik on that. I like the Pumas on the minus. I think they're going to win that one comfortably. We've got the Blue Bulls now against the Golden Lions. Now, this is an interesting one, Henrik, because we spoke about the Lions Zebra earlier. Now, if the Lions follow the strategy, which I suspect they might, and obviously load the Currie Cup side, then this handicap might start looking quite attractive on the Lions.
Yeah, because the Bulls, they're obviously going to go flat out on the URC with the team. So they've got a quality squad, but they will have the best team in the URC. And like you say, if the Lions get, so then you might like the plus a bit here. But yeah, obviously this is the kind of game where you will have to wait for teams, and then you will have to be forced on this one. And I think the Lions might compete on the 12.5 on this one. Also has potential for points, I think. What's the kickoff? Yeah, it's a 2:00 kickoff. No, it's a half past 6 kickoff. Is that on Friday? It was a Saturday. It's Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So this game is actually after the URC games then at Loftus. Yeah. So you first have the 2 URC games, and then you have this game.
Three games in a row. That's going to be.
Yeah. So
Loftus pitch is not always the best. I mean, that Loftus pitch sometimes rips up a little bit. So after 3 matches, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like.
But I still think both these teams should play positive rugby. But yeah. I can't make a positive call on this one without the team news.
Garen's saying the same thing, and I agree 100% on that. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I suppose if the Lions announce their team for the URC game, even if they haven't announced their team for this game, we'll quickly be able to draw some assumptions from that. But all eyes on team news tomorrow on that one. And then the last game, which we won't have to worry about too many. There's no URC or anything to worry about. We've got the Griquas here against the Griffins, and the Griquas minus 28.5 at home. Seems like a big handicap, Henrik, but this Griffin side might just be starting to fall apart at the seams. At least it looked that way when they were hammered by the Pumas last week.
Yeah, I agree, Brent, but they have been a bit nuggety at times during games, and I'm unsure about this one. I think you probably have to go for Griquas on the minus here. But Griquas, that first half last week, Alice Park just sits in my mind. And I was really disappointed in Griquas. I expected a very good game by Griquas last week, and they really let me down. I actually jumped ship, and I then went for to win the game. So in the end, it was a bit of a disastrous game for me, punting wise. I'm not sure, Brent. Probably minus, but there's so many better games. The problem with this one, it's a Sunday game, so you're probably going to get involved because it's not a lot of other games, and you're going to try and recover for the weekend or try and use a bit of your winnings on this one. Yeah,
similar to last Sunday's game. I mean, I won lack on the Pumas. Yes. I had a great weekend, and then I got horribly involved. So I think probably wait for points lines on this one, Henrik.
Probably, yeah, and then you probably take over some requests. But yeah, this is not a game I'm gonna spend a lot of money on. I think, Brent. I think I'll try and make my money on Friday and Saturday, and then obviously have a bit of a bet here, but not big money. There's much better games to get involved than this one.
Agree 100%. Right, Henrik, it's been a lengthy show, but that's purely because of all the games, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking rugby with you and Alex, and I'm excited about a few games that I wasn't excited about before. Just a reminder before we get into Henrik's best bets, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter yet, we were out, did really well last weekend, hit the best bet and also 12-1 accumulator as well that contributed to a good weekend. There is a link in the description box down below, and you can subscribe to it. There's also a link to our rugby forum thread where punters place their bets and information over the weekend. Henrik, take us away with your best bets.
Now, Brent, I'm going to go for the Blues as my best bet of all the competitions. Blues minus. And then, so obviously that on the Super Rugby as well, my best bet. But of all the 3 competitions, that is my best bet as well. URC, obviously, I'm going to like the Bulls when that comes out, but it's going to depend where it comes out. I'm not going to say where I would put it, but yeah, if it comes out in -8.5, it might actually pip the Blues. And then I like the Cheetahs. I like the Cheetahs against the Sharks. I think the Cheetahs is gonna put a show on. Gonna play very good, and they're gonna dominate the Sharks up front. So I like the Cheetahs -10, and the Pumas a close second on the minus as well. But yeah, best bet of the weekend for me, the Blues.
Excellent. Let's have a look at some of the other guys' best bets before we sign off. Noah van der Merwe, best bet Sharks minus, Blues minus, Bulls minus. I assume you mean Sharks there in the oh yeah, you did say all of those in the URC. And Kamal going Blue Sharks minus double. Best of luck this weekend, gents. Yes, let's hope we can have another good one. And Hendrik, thanks very much, man. Great show. I think this might be a record. We could just be grateful we didn't have Oracle on, because I think we definitely have run towards the 2-hour mark then. But yeah, great having you on the show, and all the best with your punting this weekend.
Thank you, Brent. Yeah, I enjoy talking rugby as always, and thanks for having me, and all the best for you and all the guys out there. I think be a bit more circumspect this weekend. I'm just a bit concerned about this weekend, but yeah, there is a few games that there's money to be made out. But yeah, enjoy the rugby and enjoy the punting, and be sensible about it this weekend, in my opinion.
Excellent. Yeah, just to thank all the boys in the live chat. We really had incredible contributions tonight. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.